All right, welcome back to the DNA Pest Control Podcast. And no, we do not have the Pest Posse in the back. They are up front with us, ready to go. Aaron, do you want to introduce these guys?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So today, Foster Brewster, Culley Christensen, thank you so much for coming back on the show. I was fortunate enough to meet you guys at Pest World in person, but when you guys were originally doing the podcast with Daniel, it was kind of cool for us to come back. But you two combined 60 years in the industry. You guys, expose yourself by putting how long you've been in the industry on the questionnaire there. But for those of you who don't know who you two are and who Pest Posse is, let's kind of talk about what is Pest Posse.
I'll let Culley take that because this was his harebrained idea. I just went along for the ride.
There you go.
Well, I might have covered this before when I was on last time a little bit, but and Daniel has said this frequently on your guys' show, and that is training in the pest control industry is lacking. It's just a reality. There's lots of bad information out there. There's misguided information out there. So we decided to actually start a YouTube channel. That was our first endeavor. And as people who follow us for a while realize, yeah, YouTube decided they didn't like us for some reason. I don't know what we could have done wrong, but yeah, we basically got the boot from YouTube, and we started our own platform on our own site. We own it all. And that's been the biggest help. We've exploded after that. We get great views, people listening all the way to the end, which you typically don't get a lot of on YouTube. And we started our training academy. We've had to revamp it a couple of times, and now we think we have it streamlined to the point where it's really useful and takes down all the barriers. And we're just grateful to be on here again to talk about, what the Pest Posse is and where we're going and all that good stuff with you guys.
No, that's awesome. And I do appreciate, we got in touch. I think you're the one who sent us, Chloe, a message to get on the podcast and everything. And, it is refreshing when you get we have similar ideas. The idea is to put out information and educate, and what you guys have done is absolutely amazing because, so many technicians, and we just got out of, the National Pest Management Month, and so many techs who came on, it's kind of sad, but it's really cool at the same time when they say, we've learned more from your podcast than we've learned at the company we're at. It's cool to hear that, but sad because there's so many companies that aren't willing to teach.
Foster, tell them your story. Foster just had an absolutely phenomenal story.
Yeah, so it was kind of a good feel-good story. So really here, with us being based in California, yearly we have our annual eye safety training that we have, and we have that approved for CEUs not only in California, but we have it with 15 states. And usually here in California, I will go actually to offices in person and do their annual eye safety training, do the respirator fit testing for them, go through all that necessary paperwork that needs to be done, document all that. And so here I forget what month it was this year here in 2024, I was doing a training for a company that I've actually done for the past 3 years, and he's growing like crazy. When I started with him, he had 10 technicians. He's now up to 16. In a matter of 3 years. So he's just kind of really exploded. But we were going in and do the training, and I was getting set up, and this elderly gentleman, I won't say how old he is, but he's elderly, older than me, believe it or not, and been in the industry longer than me, believe it or not. And he came literally running up to me. I mean, I'd never seen somebody bolting up to me. And he's like, I can't believe it's you. I can't believe it's you on the training. This is so exciting. This is so great. He says, I have to let you know, I learned more with your 3-hour annual eye safety training than I ever did in my almost 40 years of being in the industry and working for a large national company. And I was blown away. And I'm like, nah, I said, get out of here. He's like, no, I'm totally serious. He says, they didn't really provide the type of training you did. Yours was engaging. Yours was fun. I learned some things I never knew. And I'm like, well, I'm glad you finally learned something. And we started giggling and stuff. And he's called me a couple of times, and he was a great guy. And it was an awesome, good feel. I'm like, okay, well, there you go. You know, if an old bird like that can learn something new from us, I think we're doing pretty good here, you know?
Yeah.
So that was a pretty awesome story. I love that. So I pull that one out now, because that was just so neat to see that. And people are kind of, you know, kind of a little put back when I go and do the training in person. You know, they don't think that the person doing that training on the video is actually going to be me. And it's, you know, it kind of blows them away every time. And I'm like, no, I'm a real person. And we get that too. When we're like at Pest World and other events, people are like, you're real. You're like real people. I'm like, yeah, we exist.
Yeah.
You know,
A couple of dumb pest guys.
exactly. All we are.
No, but you know, it's cool to finally, you know, because you do get to see that, and people, you know, when you do get in front of people, it is cool, because we had that too at Pest World, where they were like, we're finally here, we get to see you guys. It is really cool to hear that and have those people and know that we are actually helping, you know, the industry in a way, because we are passionate about it. You know, we do like what we do. We love, you know, everything about it, and giving back is awesome. It's always a good feeling to hear that.
Yeah,
Absolutely. That's one of the reasons why I like listening to you guys.
Yeah. Well, and that's part of, you know, Culley mentioned, you know, with our training that we have. I mean, the biggest thing here with us with the Pest Posse is we were really the original, I would say, the OGs as far as doing this on a continuous basis, this video based episodes and this training. We're really the only ones that do that. I mean, we try to put in, you know, a new training course every single month. It's video based. With the way the training is kind of, I guess, evolved over the years. It's like, yeah, now we have it all under one platform. It's all under pestpossetv.com. But like Culley said, you know, the barrier to entry to training now for companies, we've thrown that out the window. We made the big decision here to get back to the industry and what we charge for our continuous training. And it's not CUs, because that's something that you can get anywhere, but companies need to be looking at it, that they need to continually learn, and they need to continually grow, and they need to have their techs do that as well, and give them a platform to do it, because a lot of owners don't have the time to make new training courses for their techs. And so we've really done that with this iteration that we have here with Pest Posse TV and having the training. And we've had some people say, oh, well, you don't have quizzes now. Well, we're working on putting those in the training courses. And, you know, we had to give some stuff to start to put all this together. And it's kind of with the platform we had now, we actually, I wouldn't say we were put into, you know, our backs were in the corner with this platform that we have now, but part of the requirement is that we had to have part of it paid. We couldn't have all of it free. If we had it all free, we would still be charged an exorbitant amount of money, but with having some of it paid, it kind of lightened that load a little bit. So that's part of the reason why we did. And also too, you know, we wanted to get back to the industry, and, you know, with our training, how inexpensive it is every month, you're still getting good quality training, but you know, it's literally, it's a streaming service we're providing for the industry. Like we said, it's a pest control television network. That's what we're doing. You know? Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. People don't understand that, and techs don't get it. Is a CEU is just telling you, hey, this pest, biology of it, this chemical, the makeup of it, what it does, you know, those are the CEUs. That's not going to tell you how to do pest control. That's not going to tell you how to treat. It doesn't tell you how to service a home or talk to a customer. You know, it's really, and it's a lot of it's outdated. I mean, I just took, I think, all the hours I needed to renew my license, and, you know, it's cool. I learned some good stuff, but it doesn't teach you any people skills. It's not going to teach you, you know, driving skills. It's not doing anything outside of that. So I agree exactly with what you guys are saying and what you guys are doing.
Yeah, I remember I took my pre-op course. I was dying. I was telling Foster, I'm like going through these. I like sat down every night for like a half hour to an hour just to work my way through all that stuff. Right. I mean, you had to do that, Daniel, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this guy spends pages on chemicals that have been illegal for over 20 or 30 years. And I got one paragraph on Termidor. Yeah. It's like, and even by then, there's new chemistry out, right? There's Advion, there's Alpine, there's, you know, really there wasn't hardly anything on neonics. It was like it was crazy,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And yeah, it's just, it boggles my mind. And so one of the things that, you know, kind of kicked this off in a sense in the back of my mind was I voluntarily did a weekly training program at our local Clark branch that we worked at. And I literally got to watch numbers change. We were going through one of those periods where it was pre Y2K. I don't even know if you guys know what Y2K was, if you're old enough.
We know, but we weren't around for it.
Okay, yeah. So all the computers,
Oh gosh, you made me feel old.
yeah, they weren't set up to change to 2020, you know, and beyond. And so everybody was panicked. Their computers are all going to crash. So everybody was buying computers like crazy. And the economy was just booming. It didn't matter what anybody did. It was just the economy was out of control. And computer companies, we're right in Silicon Valley. Computer companies are hiring anybody to fill a seat. Anybody. You didn't have to have a college degree, nothing. And so guys were jumping ship. They're like, hey, I can go do data entry at a computer company and make a huge pay increase. And I don't have to go out and, you know, kill bugs and pick up dead rats and, you know, whatever. And so I start this training program, and literally our turnover comes to a screeching halt. In fact, there are guys now, geez, that was late 90s, Foster. It's now 2023. Some of those guys are still there. They're the core guys at that branch. I mean, they're still running route because that's what they want to do. But, you know, those are the guys that are still there. They still stuck because it was just something, it gave them a good solid base, you know, to deal from. We watched our callbacks plummet. We watched our stop percentage go down. We saw sales go up for people who wanted to take the risk, because now they felt like, hey, I know this. I feel comfortable selling this. You know, not everybody's like us, right? Daniel, you're probably like me. I went out my first day and I started selling stuff like my first week in pest control, and I knew nothing. I just would tell the customer, sure, we could take care of that for you. No problem. And I'd walk out to the truck, pick up the CB radio, because that's all we had. And I call my boss, okay, how do I control this? Customer didn't need to know that. They didn't need to know I didn't know what was going on, you know? Yeah. And so, so you just get to watch all these changes. And yeah, we have set this up to make it simple, right? We want it to be easy, because when you're a smaller organization, you're running route, you're doing all the back end, you're working on the marketing, you know, you got to make sure the whole company's running. And you don't necessarily have time to stop and do a training program. And even though that's kind of easy, we just actually filmed an episode with a gentleman named Pete Chopin, who had what did he have, 50 techs when he sold his company?
Yeah, he did. Yes. Yeah.
He's very well known in the industry, really well respected. He's been writing for PMP magazine for decades. And so he decided to come on our show and help us talk about business topics. And we just talked about setting up a training, you know, program, and just simple, like, here, spend 5 minutes and make an outline. I mean, you can do it, you know, and at least just talk to your guys about it if you're not ready to do something like the, you know, Pest Posse TV. But you can do it, right? If you just sit and start having a conversation, giving them good information, you can buy the Truman Guide, you can buy the Malice. You know, if you look at the right websites, particularly college websites, you can find good content online. Don't go to YouTube, because YouTube still doesn't have very much good content, if any.
No.
Yeah, YouTube's not a good resource. Don't use YouTube.
Yeah, they still got yokels on there telling you to put out diatomaceous earth in piles this deep.
Nice.
That'll work.
Yeah. Well, you know, I even had a lady yesterday. I was talking to her, and she was like, yeah, I Googled this, and she's like, I know it's not the best. And I'm like, no, even Google's terrible, because you have to be so specific and know what you're looking for. When it comes to the pest control industry, you won't find the right answer.
Yep.
I mean, you put in cockroach or German cockroach, you get Turkestan cockroaches pop up. You get all sorts of types of cockroaches. And then people are like, this is what I have. It's like, no, you don't. You don't even know what you're looking at. It's
Yeah,
like
or they're going to tell you they've got a German cockroach and they've got, what was the other one? They've got a field cockroach, right? The field cockroach and the German cockroach look almost totally identical, except for the 2 lines on the back of the German cockroach's head. Other than that, they look just like each other, and they both live here in California.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, it's a simple, I mean, I've had techs make the mistake. I've almost made the mistake, not because I'm good, but because I was like, why are there so many of these outside? This just doesn't seem right. So I looked for it. You know, I went and asked.
Yeah.
So, and Foster and I were lucky. We had a guy who had 40 years in the industry. And did you ever take a bug to him that he couldn't ID in less than 30 seconds?
Oh no, you're talking about Crawford. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
No,
I mean,
he was phenomenal with ID and stuff. Yeah, you could give him anything and he could ID it. He knew exactly what it was. It was so great having that resource for us.
So
we were very,
lucky
very fortunate with that.
So we learned a lot.
Oh,
but you were starting to say something else, Daniel.
Oh no. I'm just I can't agree, you know, more than with what everything you guys are saying. I mean, everything there, you know, the training program. I was just going to add on that is when guys get trained properly, they start to gain confidence. And I think that's where you saw that big shift of people stopping and not leaving the industry because it's well, now I know it. I'm actually a professional. I think so many guys jump in and they can be around for a dozen years and they still don't know what they're doing and how to do it. And you can see that is I'm going to stay right where I'm at, or I'm going to jump from company to company to company to company because nobody's willing to teach them and they're not willing to learn either. But they don't have the confidence to do, you know, pest control work at the best of their ability. And, you know, Pest Posse TV, any other resource out there, you know, NPMA, PMP, you have a lot of resources to help teach, but guys aren't willing to do that. And they don't know the confidence that they're going to gain. They didn't know that when you started teaching, Culley. They got it, right? I mean, but they didn't understand the confidence and what that was going to create. And I'm sure you didn't either at the time.
No, I have no clue. I actually learned more than they did because I'm the one teaching. You know, it's always, it always, you know, ends up that way. The teacher ends up learning the most, to the point where for a while they were, I don't know, they had what was the nickname they were calling me? I don't know.
They were calling you a lot of things.
No,
but I
the
don't
brain.
know what that was.
Oh, yeah, the brain. They call me the brain because, you know, I appeared like I knew all this stuff, but all I'm doing is opening up the Truman Guide, and I got old days. We had CDs. I had hundreds, if not thousands, of different pictures on the CD, all set up by different types of pests. I was lucky that one of the vendors had that, and they let me use it as long as I only used it for training. So I had all these great pictures for the PowerPoint. I didn't even really put up that many, you know, that much, you know, wordage. And all I did is I read the stuff from the Truman Guide. Basically, I put it on a piece of paper and, you know, whatever, and read it from the Truman Guide. I didn't really know, but as you're doing it, you obviously learn it, you know, so it worked out. But it's funny how, you know, you just get that reputation. Your guys are probably like that with you, Daniel. They're probably like, oh, Daniel knows everything, you know, and you know a lot, but, you know, that's the thing that's great about this business is there's always something new to learn. Like I'm learning mosquito work because we don't have a lot of mosquitoes in California ultimately, right? Usually it used to be vector control took care of everything. You just told your customers, county vector control, handle it. That's what your taxes are for. Call them. Well, they don't have the manpower to do that anymore. They don't do that. You know, and then I've got, gosh, I'd love to show you the picture. I've got a guy, literally, he has nothing from his back patio to the marsh before the ocean. And the marsh is just full of mosquitoes. And I'm like, I have no idea how I'm going to control this.
But I'll learn.
That's right.
Yeah.
But that's the secret is people do think you know so much or you know everything. And we're just not scared to learn. We're not scared to open
Right.
up a book. We're not scared to
Right.
search, and we're not scared to call someone. I got guys that I'm willing to call and tell them I literally don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I think I do. I think this is the right way, but tell me your opinion. And then they'll tell me, yeah, you know what? I would do it that way. It's like, perfect.
Well, and you just hit on a really good point. I remember I used to call my boss all the time. Again, I had no experience, right? And then I worked for a company that was really bad to start with. And I went to Clark Pest Control. And Clark wasn't perfect, but they were in their day, they were a good company. And I got put in commercial, and I knew nothing about doing restaurants or food. I'm like lost. So I would call my boss and I would be like, hey, here's the situation. This is what I'm thinking of doing. What do you think? And he would pull me in the office later. He'd be like, you know what, Culley, you know what I appreciate about you? You call and ask a lot of questions, but you've always read your label and done a little research before you called me. And that makes a big difference. So for all you techs out there that are listening, if you want to impress your boss, that's a good way to do it, is to go prepared. Do a little legwork before you call your boss and just be like, Daniel, what rate do I use? I used to tell guys all the time, what rate do I'm like, have you read the label? What's the label say? I wouldn't give it to him. Wouldn't tell him. Nope, not going to happen. Read the label, because I mean, if you follow the label, it's like, you really can't go wrong.
It's pretty simple. I mean,
you
really
said it on your show. Yeah. They spend over $100 million to bring a product to market. Do you think they're going to lie on the label?
Yeah, right.
Hope not.
Yeah,
right. I mean, it may not work in a certain circumstance. You might need to tweak things a little bit, sticking within the label, whatever. But for the most part, they want that label to be accurate, and they want it to work, because they know pest control. If we go out and use it and it doesn't work the first time, we immediately give up. Nope, I'm going back to whatever. Right? That tends to be our mentality as pest people. And but that's, quite frankly, that's not how it really works. It's got to take a little trial and error. You got to figure it out. There's different ways of doing things. Are you putting the product in the right place? Like, I remember when I first learned that Argentines don't like the sun. Did you know that? Argentine ants do not like the sun. So they'll trail on the side of the concrete instead of the top, because they're in the shade. And I started treating the side of the concrete as well. And guess what? I got better control. Fascinating.
Crazy.
Sometimes there are little tweaks, right?
Yeah.
But for the most part, that label's not going to lead you wrong.
No. And there's some stuff they're not going to put on that label, just, specific treatment stuff like that, right? They're not going to tell you about an ant on the label, but they're going to tell you how to treat for ants, in some of those areas and where you legally can treat. But people you have it on your truck. You have to. It's law. You got to have the label, so it's all there. But moving on, I wanted to hit on, because I actually saw you guys, and I threw out a shout out on one of the podcasts, because I saw you guys in the PMP magazine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Appreciated that. Did you see? I got on to thanks, guys.
Yeah. No, it was awesome. I was kind of flipping through, and I'm like, wait a minute, I know that guy.
Yeah, I know them. I know who they are. Yeah,
that's all Foster's baby.
Yeah. So basically, in 2021, I had the good fortune of getting on the PMP editorial advisory board. And typically that's kind of a 1 year kind of just voluntary thing. And what they do is they ask you a question of the month, and then sometimes they'll ask you for input for some articles that are going to be coming out and some stuff. And when basically the whole debacle with YouTube happened in 2021, I was trying to figure out how to really build out Pest Posse TV with more content. And like a light bulb came up to me, and I came up with the idea with today's PMP and really talking about industry news, trying to just, again, build out Pest Posse TV. So it's truly a pest control television network. And I was like, well, who could help me with this? Because we kind of tried it years ago, but it kind of crashed and burned and Culley didn't like doing it. It was too much work and yada yada yada. So I just reached out to Diane at PMP Magazine, and I asked her if they wanted to do a video series with us once a month. And she was like, well, how much is it? And I'm like, well, I'm not going to charge you because I want the information from you. So we started in September or October of 2021. We've been doing it ever since. And we actually, in 2023, we actually increased it to twice a month. I get on with her and we do a recording. We talk about what's going on in the industry. What's cool is that one of the segments we'll actually talk about what's coming up in the new issue. So you guys get a preview of that. And then at the end of 2023, she's all, love what we're doing together. How about stepping it up and writing a column for us in the magazine? And I'm like, sure, why not? I don't know what I'm doing. Let's just add this to it. I got nothing. So, she came up with the idea with the Pest Posse Roundup and do kind of a review of one of our episodes, talk about what's going on Pest Posse TV, and away we've gone ever since. And we started that January 2024. So we're still doing today's PMP. Me and Diane go in and we record that twice a month. And that's only, we don't have that over, our Monday episodes. We do have a podcast, but today's PMP, that's only, over in the video version with that. And that's all free. So, it's been pretty cool writing the column. It's been totally out of my wheelhouse, just like the other thing that I did, which we'll probably talk about. But, this is funny. When we really kind of started, one of the things when we started the Pest Posse, that, me and Culley are not writers. And it's like, we didn't want to do a blog, and we knew the pest control industry was a visual industry. And that's kind of why we wanted to do the whole YouTube thing and the video thing. So we didn't have to write. Well, guess what? We're writing more now than we ever did. And it's like, well, that didn't work out very well. So, on that. So, but it's been very cool. The people there at PMP Magazine, they love us to death. They love me. They're great people there. Great staff. I can't say enough about North Coast Media and PMP Magazine. All of them. They're, like I said, it's been a great partnership. And I just, we're just going to continue it for, I think, years to come. And it's, we'll see. It's been tough this year, I have to admit, right, in the article, because again, we do have a preview as far as what's coming up, in the new the new episodes of Pest Posse TV. Well, we'll write the article maybe, a month and a half or 2 months before it comes out. Well, then we got to know even farther out. It's because it's usually the next month with our episodes. So we've got content. We're so far out on the content now. We've never been this way, and it's really nice to just kind of deep breathe and know that consistency of having an episode every single Monday is going to continue, because we're really the only ones that have put out a new episode for PMPs every single Monday since 2017. We've never missed a beat, even through COVID. So, which is pretty cool that we can say.
You guys know what that's like. That's not
easy.
New.
A lot of stuff,
We've had to put it on pause too.
Yep.
You guys have done really, really well, considering you own a company and you're running.
Yep.
I mean, you know what I mean? That's my point. I'm not putting anybody down for not being able to make that happen.
No, not at all. Not at all.
It's hard to come up with content consistently.
Yeah,
So
I'm right there with
but
you.
we've been able to make it happen because of Foster. The other thing, one of the things about the whole news idea, we were behind the 8 ball. I mean, like, we're looking at news in PMP Magazine and PCT Magazine and like blog, posts that come through. We're like way late on anything. And I'm like, we don't have time for this. This just isn't really working. So the idea to go straight to PMP is brilliant, because of course that's where everybody goes, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody goes right to them to say, hey, this is what's happening in our company. And so we get, we're just blessed to be able to have that information right from them, and I mean, it's a super cool partnership. So grateful for them,
Yeah.
So. Yeah. No, and honestly, I tip my hat for you guys, being so consistent on that, especially because, you have a pest control company too, so it didn't start off as Pest Posse and you're making all the money and you guys don't have to not work, it was a big part of it is you're still doing something, while putting out the content. And I
just like to say, I am not trying to build it as fast as you guys. I'm specifically not, okay? So don't. I just say that mainly because my marketing guy keeps badgering me. He wants to see me build like you guys. I'm like, I got 2 companies. I got more to do here than just run route. 2 days a week are on the Pest Posse. They're not out in the field. You know, that's a big chunk of time when you're trying to build a route.
Yep.
You know?
And I do this. Yeah, and I do this full time. So this is, you know,
he does.
People might not realize, you know, this is what I do. I mean, I took the kind of the leap of faith, you know, in really of January 19 to really start focusing full time here on the Pest Posse. I left Clark Pest Control that I was at for 23 years, and I was making obscene amount of money as an account manager. And I saw the writing on the wall with what was happening with the Pest Posse, and I was doing that as a side hustle. Clark didn't know about it. I mean, and I don't have a problem saying it now because Clark really isn't Clark now. It's Rollins, but that's a whole nother story. But you know, this is, you know, we're different here because again, this is what I do. This is my job. This is full time. I'm here to turn out the content, help with that, help get the revenue coming in. That's why I've, you know, been designated as a head wrangler. I run the day-to-day here. And really, you know, and again, no offense to both of you, Daniel and Aaron, you know, you know, a lot of people that do podcasts, they've got companies, and rightly so, they should, because they need to have that in. It's not easy having this side hustle and having a podcast, having a vlog, having that generate money. Now, are we generating gobs of money? I'll be totally honest with you, no. But we're doing enough, and every year it's building and it's building and it's building, and it's neat to see it. And I don't regret leaving that company. I actually left at the right time because the acquisition, you know, happened January of 19, and I was already gone. So it's like, see ya, bye. You know, you know, I left at the right time, and I'm not looking back.
We're harsh.
Yeah.
They negotiated some harsh pay cuts.
Yeah, they did. They did. So. Yeah.
I mean, it's a public company, and what people don't understand is,
well, it is now.
Yeah. Well, Rollins and everything. Yeah, they got to make them happy. You know.
Yep, they do.
Happy.
Yep, they do. Definitely.
No, we were talking about that the other day. I was talking about a different podcast I was listening to, and I was like, gosh, they were interviewing some, you know, bigwigs from some big companies. And, you know, they sound great. They got great, you know, things to say. And I'm like, yeah, you know how many jobs I take from your company, or actually how many jobs I have to clean up from your company on a regular basis? All I can hear is blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
You know, I hate to be rude, but it's just the truth. You guys can mean all the good stuff you want up here at the top, but if you can't disseminate that down to your staff, you know, and your end techs, I'm not impressed.
Yeah,
exactly. You know, I mean, keep going, because I make money like off hand and foot over that stuff, right, guys?
I love it. I love it when they start to do those things and those changes. I was just talking to my brother because he works in corporate America, and he doesn't do pest control stuff, but they do medical devices and everything else. He's just an accountant, but everything that's happening.
I like that.
Yeah. Well, he was
sprinkle that in.
Yeah. No, well, he was saying he's like, I'm getting scared. He's like, there's so much changes that are happening and what we're seeing. He's like, it's kind of getting scary where, you know, where I could even sit. And I'm like, I love it. We're small, you know, we're fast. Screw up. It doesn't matter. You got the big companies. You guys are corporate.
Yeah.
Mess it all up. I'm here to clean up. I'll clean up your messes.
That's right.
All day long.
Yeah. No,
exactly.
I agree 100%. Oh, I used to love it when Terminex would buy a new company.
Oh, yeah.
Every time I get a big influx of customers and a big influx of actually pretty decent techs. I mean, they needed some retraining, but at least some of them were worth keeping. You know, not usually all of them, but some of them.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's always a good thing when they buy and it's so many customers jump ship. They're upset. They don't like what's going on, you know, but it's all a numbers game, you know, and when you start to put the customer first and putting them as, hey, we want to treat you the best possible way. It's not even necessarily about our services. It's, I want to do the best job, you know, and we've tried to hold that, you know, a pretty good standard here. with the help of Aaron and the office and everything is, we have accounts we go out to and we won't service because it's not the right pest. It's a whole different service. And we'll tell them, hey, we're not going to service. This is the pest. This is the price. It changed. Do you want us to? And surprisingly, they stay still, but it's, because it's a lot more money, but they're good about it. But it's amazing honesty and putting that customer in front of everything else. What comes of it. It's awesome.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Totally agree.
But Foster, we got to talk about you a little bit.
Okay.
This is Aaron's. This is more. This is down Aaron's lane here. About your book and your sales book.
Yeah. That was kind of crazy how that kind of came all about and everything. I didn't.
Okay, I'm sorry. Wait. So, if you don't mind, I just want to preface this. Not everybody understands, especially your listeners, because they're not used to us, right?
Yeah.
Not everybody gets what Foster has done before this.
Well, I was going to get into that, and you're just
That's a little better when somebody else covers it for you, I think.
And this is wait, we got to back it up. Let's go back about 5, maybe 10 minutes in this. The guy who hates writing wrote a book.
Exactly. Can you believe it?
That. So, Foster, like he said, he worked for this company. He's worked there. How many? You worked there for how many years again, Foster?
23 years.
23 years. He ends up in sales. He takes him a year or two to get to the top. His first year at the top, he breaks the record. Right, he sells more than any other commercial sales guy ever had. Okay, wow. He breaks $500,000. He builds on that year after year until he sells 1.5 million in commercial sales. That's with no phone leads.
Yep.
The phone leads went to the other salespeople. Foster generated all those leads on his own without their help.
Yep.
And he breaks that down and writes about how he figured that out in this book. Yep. So with that preface, when he left and came to the Pest Posse, he left before the end of the year. If his numbers were still number one in the company that year, he was so far ahead of every other salesman.
Yeah, I think awesome. I was like,
okay. So I just like to preface with that because that's pretty impressive, at least it is to me.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Go ahead, Foster. Take it from here.
No, but it was because again, like I said, that $500,000 was so unattainable and nobody could do it. And kind of a little bit of a mentor of mine at the company, this gentleman, he tried for years and years and years to do it, and working in Silicon Valley, we were very fortunate. We had high ticket stuff, but, I was the first one to do it. And it made a few of the veterans kind of upset that I was able to do it, getting into year 3. I think I was into year 3 when I finally hit it. And it pissed everybody off, and that's fine. It is what it is. But continually, every single year, I would continually do that where I would just build on it. And I had the one fortune, of hitting that 1.5 million one year. And, that was because of a little fun, kind of one of my last fun hurrahs that I had. I was actually in charge of, doing, the rodent control for the Apple campus here in Cupertino, what they call the spaceship. You guys can Google that. It's got almost 3 million square foot circle. It's a mile around when you walk it. And they had rodents in there in pre-construction and stuff and construction. So we were able to get in there, but so I took basically that whole experience because when I got into sales, I didn't, I was floundering. I didn't know what to do. I mean, I had the stability of a route. I knew that was no problem. I could do that. I could run a route like that. I could manage a route, piece of cake. I knew I'd have those continually customers, but how was I going to get the revenue? I'm starting at zero every single month. And how am I going to do that? How am I going to get past the gatekeeper here in Silicon Valley? How am I going to get into Google? How am I going to get into, getting into SAP? How am I going to get into Yahoo? How am I going to do that? And I did have the fortune of running a really good commercial route when I did leave running route. So I did have some connections in that, but I had to figure all of that out, how to manage my time, how to manage those customers. Clark didn't have a sales training program. They didn't. It was basically, you're in sales. Here, go do it. Go figure it out. Well, that's what I did. I mean, I had 1 year that I want to say it was really my first full year, because it's kind of weird the way I started in it, and I won't go too much into that, but I think it was my first full really gear into sales. I did every single trade show under the sun, and I did them all by myself because I needed to figure out, how am I going to get past the gatekeeper? How am I going to get exposure? And that was some things I did. I did those all myself, and I was very lucky that I had a branch manager that was like, go forward and conquer, Foster. Do what you need to do. He believed in me and knew that I could do it, and I proved it. So, all those lessons that I learned, when I left Clark, I had people asking me, hey, Foster, when are you going to write a book about your experience? When are you going to do this? We want to know more. How did you do this? How did you figure this out? And it just happened to be that I just happened to stumble upon a publishing company that was doing a webinar, and I listened to the webinar, and it was actually one of those webinars that they didn't hide anything. They literally gave you everything. They told you everything. So, which was amazing. You get into those and they're like, oh, well, yeah, we can do this, rah, rah, shish, boom, bob. We can do this and blah, blah, blah. No, they spelled it all out on how to write a book in 90 days. They spelled the whole program out. And they're like, come with us and, buy our program, and we'll make this happen for you. And they broke it down really into simple, stupid terms on how to do it and how to write a book, and just writing, 500 words a day. Pretty soon I had the book written in about 2.5 months. It was amazing because a lot of it was my experience, and I didn't type a lot of it, to be honest with you. I used Microsoft Word voice dictation. It was so much easier because I could just talk into what I said, and then I would go through and read it and proofread it and do the grammar on it, make sure it looked good, and then
he used no Chat GPT.
No, this was all my experience. This was all my experience. And I was very fortunate because this company, I got turned on to a really neat editor that took the first revision of what I wrote. And she's like, hey, we could really make this something special and really turn this into a guidebook, but you're going to have to make some big changes. Are you willing to do it? And I'm like, I've never written a book. Why not? So we made the changes, and she helped me with that. And that's where we came up with the fundamentals of pest control sales. That's my book. It ended up going to #1 new release in Amazon, stuck there for a couple of weeks, and then ended up being bestseller for about a month. So, wow. Which was amazing. And it's just been on ever since. I mean, when we go to any in-person events, people love the book. They want to buy the book. It's really inexpensive. I sign it for them, and they want to know more. And everybody that's read it has just said, where's this been all my life? Because it breaks everything down into simple, basically procedures, simple tasks, simple things to do, that it's not overcomplicated. And like I say at the beginning of the book, I don't claim to be this a rah, rah, shish, boom, bob. I don't claim that you're going to sell $1.5 million of sales. I claim that if you do this process and you work with what I said within this book, you're going to be successful. You're going to make sales. And that success is going to be determined on how much you want to work that. And that's why I'll never go through and say, oh yeah, you're going to make X amount. Your dollars are going to increase. You're going to make this amount of sales. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to make those claims. I don't want to be that person, because then you get let down. We've all read books like that where they say, oh, you're going to make 150 more percent more of sales. And then you don't, because it's just maybe the area you're in, maybe it's your personality, maybe you just didn't grasp everything. I don't want to do that. I just want to give you practical tips. And that's what's really turned out to be really good with the book. And, I made the decision also too this year, started a master class with that. That's a 6-week class that I do to really take the book, but kind of expound on it and have me talk about certain sections of the book and certain things, have homework each week for the people to do. And I think the better thing with the master class is I've only limited it to 8 people. I don't want to have 20 or 30 people on there. I want to have 8. So we can get together as a group and really learn together and learn the processes together, ask questions, be interactive with it. And the first round of people that I did, they loved it. They loved it. They said it was worth every single penny for that master class, and they've never really been on there, and they've got the book and they love it. So yeah. So that's what I've done.
Congratulations on that. And that's awesome that you did it. And, once again, those are small things that give back, to the pest control community. And we're so behind, there's so much more stuff that needs to be handed out and really provided. And, thanks for even throwing that out there and putting your experience into pages, and allowing people to read that and get into your mind on what you do. Because so many people keep that a secret, they think it's my little thing. And so I'm not going to tell anybody, or I'm not going to tell you everything, or I'm going to keep, this out of it. And it's so awesome that you're laying that out and you're giving that information is, hey, this is what I did. Yeah. And, the claim is if you do it, you'll succeed. If you don't, it's all on you. And that's how everybody should be. And I appreciate you being honest about that. Is I don't know what it's going to guarantee.
Exactly.
It just depends on you. The more that you're willing to work and the more you're willing to put in it, you're probably going to be really successful, and you may even do better. But it just depends on how much you're willing to put in it.
Yeah. And I loved it with the first class that I did. There was a lady on there that's new into pest control sales, and she's been selling for like well over 5 years. And she says, I learned a lot of different techniques and a lot of different practical things. And during the class, she said she started implementing stuff that we would go over every week. And she said she could already see that things were changing for her and her sales were already changing, and she was selling more and becoming more comfortable with selling in the pest control industry. And I thought that was great. I thought that was awesome.
We get that a lot, even from people who just read the book.
Yeah.
They'll come back and they'll be like, oh yeah, that technique just totally helped. And, just a lot of little stuff that he put in there is really huge. I mean, I even struggle. I mean, I know a lot of this stuff and I struggle implementing it on a regular basis, because you're going fast and you're trying to get things done, and, so you just forget, and you just have to discipline yourself to do the steps, and watch it benefit.
Well, and Foster, because we have a lot of people who just start their pest control business, that come on the podcast, that are listening to the podcast. What is, and you may not be able to bring it down to a single point, but what would be something that they can do to up their sales game? That's something easy, because I know some people create, there's some good stuff, but, is there something that you prefer, you would tell someone you just started, this is what you should do?
Well, I would say the biggest thing is if you've just started your pest control company, don't spread yourself too thin, and don't think that you got to run every single territory and every single area. Stay near your home. And that's what I go over in the book. Stay near your home, stay near your comfort area, and build yourself out from there. Don't go an hour or 2 hours and try to chase that carrot. As a new business person, you need to focus on the business and building the business. Build it in your community, build it around where you're at, where you're living at, and find a niche, either that you're going to do commercial or you're going to do residential. If you're going to do residential, find an area that you have in where you're at and close to where your home is, and build that area. If it's that community, and build that area, and you're going to see that you're going to be successful. And you don't need to hire a door-to-door marketing team. Okay. I don't think any company should really be hiring those people. I really don't. I think door-to-door is your technicians, and you need to train your technicians to do that. And as a business owner, you need to be comfortable with going door-to-door. Even if you do, with kind of a new term I started coining, is really doing the pizza marketing, where even if you just go in and you're just door hanging and you're not knocking on the door, at least do that, because that will be fruitful in the long run, but it'll get your name out there, especially with being a new business. So again, don't spread yourself too thin. Don't go chase the carrot everywhere. That's the best advice I can give to any new business owner, because it will burn you out in a heartbeat, and you will not be able to service your customers, and bad reputation will follow. Trust me, it will happen. You will fail. Sorry, you will fail. I don't care who you are.
Yeah. That's good. That's awesome. I mean, Aaron, this is, sales is your kind of big thing. Is there anything you wanted to ask Foster or have him hit on?
Where can I sign up for the masterclass?
So you could sign up for the masterclass. The best thing I could do, because I do have it on kind of a weird landing page. It doesn't have like a URL like the pestposse.net /sales. we just ended up redoing our website. So basically, if people want to contact me, basically they can just go info@thepestposse.net, say, hey, I want to sign up for a masterclass. Let me know. I can let you guys know how much it is and kind of a little bit of the particulars. What it is, it's a 6-week course. It's going to be starting on May 29th, which is on a Wednesday at 1 p.m. That'll be when we're going to be starting. I know it's going to start getting a little bit into the busy season, and it just kind of is the way it falls because I just got done with the first round and I wanted to have a little bit of a break. And there's another long story why I needed a break from that. But so it'll be, the subsequent Wednesdays for 6 weeks after that. And, it's only $4.99 for the course for 6 weeks. Wow. And you'll get access to the recordings because I will record it. And you will get access to the recordings for 6 months after that. You will get a nice certificate of completion that I'll mail to you as well too, so you can put that up on your wall and showing that you've done the masterclass. So it's only 8 people. That's it. I'm not expanding it anymore. So once the 8 are done, that's it. So that's where you can sign up for it. So I encourage anybody. Like I said, I know we're going to get into the busy season. Just do your best to try to commit with that. I'm only doing an hour. I'm going fast and I want to make sure that we're not on for 2-3 hours. I want to do an hour and, let's get on with it. That's why it was 5 weeks and I already did an extra bonus week for the first round. So that's why I expanded it to 6 weeks, just because again, there's so much information I want to pack into there and everything.
Nice.
No, that's awesome.
So that's great.
Yeah.
But in terms of specific questions about sales, I mean, Daniel and I met before the beginning of this year started, and we had some things we wanted to work on with our training program here, within the company. Yeah. So we decided, okay, we're going to really just train like a heavy, just trained focus first quarter. Our intention was to not put sales on the back burner, but just focus more on the guys and the career paths themselves. And everybody said, screw that, because we just had stuff coming in left and right. And we've had, apartments coming in left and right, restaurants, senior care facilities, so it hasn't slowed down on that side. But no, I just wanted to say I appreciate what you guys have done and are doing. Culley, you said this to me at Pest World that always sticks with me. I say it on the podcast a lot, but the rising tide raises all the ships. And I'm amazed because I actually just hit my 2-year mark in the industry yesterday.
Congratulations. Awesome.
Thank you. And it feels like I've been working with Daniel forever, just because of how fast things have gone and how, great things have been. But, like you were saying earlier, as I'm teaching these guys, I'm like, okay, like I got to make sure I keep note of that. You know what I mean? Because there's so much that I'm trying to work on developing them while developing myself, while working with Daniel, developing the company, so I think just at least what seems like you two, coordinate with each other on where those goals align. And Daniel and I, he has to rein me in because sometimes I end up being the one chasing the carrot on the stick, yesterday I drove out to Reading and back because there was a treatment and I'm like, dude, why wouldn't I? It's a treatment. And, sometimes you do have to do those things, and we're more than okay with that, but it's just being mindful and not letting that, consume you.
Well, yeah.
And that's aware of how often you're doing that.
That's just what I was going to say.
Benefiting the company, because we had a small company we were working with just south of San Jose, Morgan Hill area, and their main guy, he hired this guy to sell their pest control stuff, and he was going from Salinas, Monterey to how far north was he going? Past Walnut Creek, wasn't it? He was going
Walnut Creek. I think they were even going into.
And the guy was in his 60s.
Yeah.
And he had health issues, and it's like, what do you do? I mean,
kill the guy.
Santa Clara County's got over 3 million people living in it with all kinds of industry. I think you could make a good living just right there.
Yeah.
Well, and that gentleman, after a couple of years of doing that gentleman, I mean, he already kind of had some health problems, but he pretty much had to bow out of it. He couldn't do it anymore. And it kind of
you're young. I mean, when you're younger, you can get a lot done. Yeah, this is one of my beefs I had with Daniel on that cockroach episode. He's all, yeah, the old guys cut back on what they want to do because they're lazy. I'm like, no, Daniel, we're not lazy. We hurt too much
Exactly.
doing that kind of work. For
Hey.
me to stand on a ladder for a day and do a bird job, I paid for it for at least 3 or 4 days physically. It is demanding on your body.
Hey,
You get back to us, in about another 10, 15 years. Inside. Trust me, you'll be saying the same thing we are. It sucks being old.
let me set the record straight, okay? Let me set it very, very straight, okay? When I say old guys, I am not referring to old in age. I'm referring to the guys who were taught how to do pest control 20 years ago. Let's go up in an attic and chuck bait everywhere. And then they're living through it. We got a guy here. He's young. He's 22, 23. He is
60.
old. He is old. He wants to do it the old way. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying an old guy by age. I'm saying the old ways, old guy, bad mentality. That's what I'm saying.
That's funny. That's hilarious.
Well, that's no problem here because pest control is the only thing I've ever been an early adopter in.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. I try to use the latest product, get it out there, test it out, the latest equipment if I can afford it, all the time. I mean,
Well, cool. So. I just want to let you know this was actually an intervention and you passed. We actually wanted to see what you would say in this moment, and you passed. You can stay with the Pest Posse one more day.
Oh, I got fired already. Did you hear that?
Yeah,
we had an HR. We have this lady comes on to talk about HR topics because, of course, we know nothing about HR.
I read on that, yeah.
And beginning of the show, they fired me.
Yep. Hey, we had to do it.
Get us sued.
No, we set it up right. We terminated him the right way. We did it correctly. And then, I had to retract it and I had to bring him back. But, that's a whole nother story.
No, I was reading that. I was reading on that and, what she was saying. And it was actually really good information.
Oh, yeah.
She's really good.
No,
no. I saw that and I was like, oh, dang. Okay. I got to take some notes here. We got to implement this here.
Yeah.
No, Culley, but honestly, what you said is learning and growing and pushing through. You have to. You're the Pest Posse. You can't put out old content. You got to put out new. Right? You got to put out the good. Or it's gonna die. And that's what you have to change with the times. And being open to that, not being afraid of change and trying something new. That's what I love about Aaron is. We come back from a show, whatever, and it's like, you want to try it? And he's like, yeah, why not? We'll act like we know we're the experts until we are. So it's awesome to kind of see that and go through that. Now I'm going to ask something, and I don't know if you guys can say anything yet, but I want to know if you can. It's okay if you say no. Do you know what you're going to talk about at Pest World? Can you
yes, and I want to say what it is. Yes.
Oh,
we do.
Okay, cool.
So because I'm the one that set all this up, so I'm going to promote it. So we're going to be speaking. That will be on Thursday at Pest World. Pest World starts on the 22nd of October, with the exhibit hall opening up at 2 p.m. We will have a booth at booth 331. We will be there, and so on Thursday at 3 p.m. We will be speaking, and it will be on my book, The Fundamentals of Pest Control Sales.
Awesome.
We've got already a training that we've done that really kind of doesn't go deep into the book, but hits on some fundamentals of the book and really kind of just gives you that carrot to want to buy the book and to learn more. So that's what we'll be speaking of. And we're calling it, Fundamentals of Pest Control Sales, Strategies from Pest Management Professionals. So awesome. Kind of a little bit of the play on what the book says anyways, but so that's what we're going to be speaking on. We're just so grateful and so excited we're going to be able to do that. And it had, MPMA that, just everything aligned, and we're just excited we're going to be able to speak and do that. So we're going to be promoting that even more. also through MPMA, and I got a really, this whole idea with us speaking, they're really trying to come up with some new things to really draw people to Pest World in Denver, which all of you need to be at. If you guys are not on our newsletter, get on our newsletter, because I will be putting out in our newsletter. We do have a promotional code that Pest World did give us for $50 off for your registration at Pest World.
Awesome.
So,
okay.
Yes. Yeah. So that was all
Sweet.
part of this to drive people there. So, go on to our website at Pest Posse, thepestposse.net or pestposse.com. You'll be able to see how to sign up for our newsletter. Get in there, because I'm going to be putting that out here in the next couple of weeks, and I'll be continually reminding people of that you're going to be able to get $50 off going to Pest World. If, even if you show up just for one day, you don't have to go for the whole week. Really, Thursday is the best day to go, because we're going to be speaking and we want to pack that room. So tell your friends, tell your colleagues, tell everybody. Pest Posse will be there. You're going to be able to see the shenanigans with me and Culley, and the way we do the training at the Pest Posse too. This is where we really are different than what you're going to find out there. We do have some training courses where it is just either me or just Culley, but over 90% of the training and how we do it in person, it's me and Culley putting on the training together. We're not just saying something maybe for 10, 15 minutes, and then Culley will take it for 10, 15 minutes. No, there is banter back and forth. We are talking together. We're giving the information together. And it's something to really the industry, and I've never really seen, training people putting it on like that. And when we spoke in Idaho a few years ago, people loved it. They wanted us to come back. They loved it. They loved the way it was. They loved the energy. They loved how it felt quick, because me and Culley were going back and forth with each other, and we're doing that bantering, because me and Culley have known each other for well over 25 years. So, we're almost like we're brothers, and we feed off each other. And that's what's really great about the energy we have when we're on our live streams, doing our training, any of that. And that's how it's going to be at Pest World. It's something you guys all need to come and see. So
no, that's awesome. And we'll be there for sure. And you can pick on Aaron all you want.
Excellent
example. Bring him to the
front.
Bro.
Okay, be right in front. Sit right there.
I will.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
You're gonna see our faces right in front. So be ready.
Good. Excellent. We're looking forward to it.
No pressure, because we will put out an episode, and we are going to be very good critics.
Yeah,
Good.
right.
Okay, do it.
Well, let me just tell you this. So when we spoke in Idaho, one of the guys there, he owns a pretty large multi-state company, and he introduced us after our first talk the first day. And his introduction went something to the degree of, I don't know if you've met these guys from the Pest Posse, but these guys literally incorporate dumbass and smartass all at the same time.
Get that on the shirt.
Oh, that's too good.
Like, that was the best introduction I've ever had.
100%.
There we go.
100%. Oh, shit.
Well, I won't be so.
If you want to see that live,
Yeah.
come to Pest World 2023 and check out the Pest Posse.
2024, you're at the wrong year, dude.
2024.
People aren't going to travel back.
I haven't had enough coffee. I only had
him in
one.
line. He's so friggin' old. He's so decrepit these days. I literally have to tell him where to go.
Not a lie. The only thing, I was going to end with is if we make it there alive.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, we will. I hope we will.
Oh,
I'm doing everything I can to make it there. So I know you are, but we won't go into that. I kind of had a little bit of a scare about 3-4 weeks ago. I'm not going to get into that, but I'm alive, so that's all that matters.
That was the break you needed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. All I have to say is putting in 60 to 70 hours a week and running at full tilt at 200 miles an hour. Trust me, it's not a matter of when. It's a matter of if. It will catch up to you. I am living.
It's not a
proof
matter
of
of
that.
it's a matter of when. Yeah.
When exactly. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
See, I can't even talk. I don't even know anymore. So trust me, you guys all need to be looking at what you guys are doing, and you all need to slow down because it's not worth it. So
it's amazing we can actually put out good content with as bad as we keep making mistakes.
It makes it fun. It makes it fun. But to close, because I don't want to take up, your guys' weekend, but people don't realize that and I'm glad that you mentioned that, Foster. I know it's taken a toll on you, and I hope you're doing good. I hope everything is going to be good in the future. But people need to understand, a lot of technicians need to understand, you know, starting a business, even doing what you guys are doing with Pest Posse, you know, there's so many hours involved and so many hours put into it. You know, so many people start something and underestimate how much time they have to put into it. And then they look at you and say, wow, look at them. Look how big they are. Look at the platform they've created. And it's like, you think I did that in an hour? You think I did that on a weekend? Like, you know, we're putting in a lot of time, and everyone who's going to be watching and listening to this, it's, you know, go and check them out. Check out the Pest Posse. Go listen to their content. Watch their videos. You know, it's not like we're just throwing this together and it's taken us 5 minutes. I mean, you're sitting here for an hour and 5 right now. That's an hour and 5 minutes. We didn't get this done faster, you know?
Yep.
So that's what people have to understand. And I want to thank you guys for coming on and reaching back out. I hope one day that you will accept, you know, us on your show and allow us to come on, you know, and say some stupid stuff too.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
No.
Well, the other thing I want to say is it's not an either or, folks. You know, you don't have to stop listening to the DNA podcast to listen to the Pest Posse. We never require that. In fact, we love people to use our content, and we want you to go to classes. We want you to go to Pest World. We want you to go to your local, you know, events and get training. Don't just use us. that would be a mistake. You know, we're never like, we're the only game in town. You know, that would be stupid and arrogant. And take it all in, you know, sift through it, because, you know, like we just showed, we even make mistakes. Just because we've been in the industry for 30 years doesn't mean something doesn't come out wrong from time to time, you know, or we might just have a different opinion, and that's okay too.
Well, and that's actually what makes us better, is you have differing opinions, you know, and it can, and actually the stronger it is, the better, because you start to prove each other wrong, and sometimes you prove each other right, and you get to the right answer faster. And I'm with you, Culley, on that. Is no, it doesn't really matter. You know, I'm not here. I mean, obviously we have you guys on. It's not like, hey, don't go listen to them after this. You know, that's exactly what we want. We want more education out there. We want guys to grow. We build a better industry. We're going to start to suffocate the ones that are really terrible and shouldn't be in the industry, because we're getting so much better. And I do appreciate you guys doing that and everything you've done up to this point, and the consistency, because it's hard. It's very hard. You know, we're trying to keep up, and we're trying to do it. Yeah, it's so much work, but you guys are definitely, you know, the top of the list, and who we look up to on the consistency and the content and what you guys are putting out. And I do appreciate everything you guys are doing, and thanks for coming on.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you guys so much for having us. It is a risk to put people on your show. You guys have been, you know, that's just what you guys do, right? You risk that every week by putting somebody else on. You don't know exactly what they're going to say. And, you know, so I appreciate it. Very grateful to be able to be here. You know, I'm here because I like you guys. I like to listen to your podcast. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have asked.
That's true.
No, thank you so much, honestly. And Aaron, if you want to close this out, you know, make sure that we get all their stuff in, but let's close out.
Absolutely. We're keeping them in the queue. But this has been a great episode. Please, if you haven't listened to the last episode with Pest Posse, or even the little meetups we had at Pest World last year, 2023, please make sure to listen to that. If you're not planning on going to Pest World, I suggest you change your mind, because them speaking on that Thursday is going to be some great content. Pest Posse TV, is it pestposse.net and then pestposse.com?
So so basically that will get you to our website. If you want to go see our video content, that would just be pestpossetv.com, and that'll get you right to our video content, which is free.
Perfect. You heard it there. We have episodes drop every Monday and Thursday. Please like and share our content on whatever platform you're listening to us on: YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and our Facebook page is now up. So once again, thank you again for listening to the DNA Pest Control Podcast.